Paraquat is one of the oldest and most prevalent herbicides in the world. It's used primarily to deal with weeds and grasses that affect crops. Despite being discovered in 1882, it wasn't until 1955 that scientists discovered paraquat's herbicidal properties. And in 1962, a British chemical company, Imperial Chemical Industries, sought to produce and sell it for agricultural use after making this discovery. Paraquat is a popular herbicide used in the agricultural industry. It's a highly effective weed killer that's only sold to commercially licensed companies. But its toxic properties are extremely dangerous to anyone who ingests, inhales, or has direct contact with it. It is so dangerous that just one sip of Paraquat can be fatal. The continued use of the herbicide in the U.S. was reviewed and reapproved in 2020, even though it's banned in over 30 countries and the European Union due to health concerns from exposure. The amount and timeline of paraquat exposure can affect when symptoms present and when long-term chronic health problems develop. For example, those who inhale small amounts over many years may not show symptoms or develop illnesses until much later in life. There are many symptoms of paraquat exposure, from nausea and abdominal pain to muscle weakness and confusion. It can damage the intestines, stomach, and skin, scar the lungs, and cause kidney, liver, and respiratory failure. Since 2017, plaintiffs have filed lawsuits alleging that Chevron and Syngenta failed to disclose that the herbicide Paraquat increased the risk of Parkinson's disease. With studies linking Paraquat to the disease, the lawsuits have numbered into several hundred. In June 2021, plaintiffs in 16 California lawsuits settled Paraquat exposure claims with the makers of the product. In 2019, these cases had been consolidated into a state judicial panel coordination proceeding. The time from coordination to settlement spanned roughly 2 years. Parkinson's disease comes with numerous debilitating symptoms and effects. If you're exposed to Paraquat, you may see signs of Parkinson's such as slow movement, tremors, lack of balance, and lack of flexibility. Those afflicted with the disease may experience hallucinations, delusions, sleeplessness, depression, memory lapses, and impairment of judgment. From these conditions may come the reduced or lost ability to work, function, and maintain relationships. In this insider exclusive Justice in America Network TV special, Justice in America for Paraquat Herbicide Victims, our news team meets with Evelyn and Mark Darden, partners in the Addison-Darden law firm, to discuss the current litigation against the manufacturers of Paraquat. They will discuss what is Paraquat, Paraquat exposure linked to Parkinson's disease, filing a Paraquat lawsuit for Parkinson's disease, what damages are recoverable in Paraquat lawsuits, how is Paraquat poisoning diagnosed, Paraquat exposure, the signs, symptoms, and health effects, Paraquat history, an in-depth look, and more. Evelyn and Mark have earned reputations as unyielding trial lawyers who repeatedly represent clients against big companies and the Goliaths of the world and repeatedly win. They have earned the highest respect from citizens and lawyers alike as some of the best trial lawyers in Maryland and across the nation. They have built substantial reputations nationwide by consistently winning cases other law firms have turned down. And their amazing courtroom skills and headline-grabbing success rate continue to provide their clients with the results they need and the results they deserve. This is the Insider Exclusive, Justice in America, live from Baltimore, Maryland. It is my great pleasure to introduce Mark and Evelyn Darden to the show. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your law firm. What does your law firm specialize in?
I'll let you start with that.
I'm Evelyn Darden, And I started this law firm April of 1988. And I started because I wanted to help people. I know that people like to talk about their problems when they're with me, and I'm a listener. And I decided, after years of experience of working with the state's attorney's office, with the federal government, with civil rights cases, and even as a prosecutor in Baltimore City, handling major drug cases and homicide cases, that I wanted to bring all those skills and experiences together to best serve my clients. I said to my husband years ago, when I made the decision to go into business for myself, that I want to be fully prepared and hit the ground running. And then less than a year after I started, my son, who was in law school at the time at Howard University Law School, decided that he wanted to work with the firm. I said, "Are you certain you don't want to go out and work at the state's attorney's office as an intern or some other task there?" He says, "No, I like working with people just like you." And so we've been together in this firm for over 30 years now.
Close to 35. Yeah, Steve, my story's a little different. I'm an athlete, super competitive, and I would have never thought that law would have been the profession I'd chosen, but also being an advocate for people, trying to champion, the little guy, seeing what my mom had been doing. My father was an entrepreneur, and it just made sense to me to do business with family. And when my mom opened the practice, I said, what better place to be trained and to work and be with family and also help your community, help people in need through the practice of law. I just see the courtroom as sort of a battleground. It's like the gridiron for me. And I also play lacrosse. So it's like the opponent on the other side. Let's do battle. Let's see where we come out at the end of the day. And it's been a great career working with my mom. I couldn't ask for a better mentor, a better trainer, a better person to work for, and to just be there day to day to give me, real time, real life feedback as to my development. And I think we've come a long way in almost 35 years.
And it makes me proud to know that my law partner is someone I've always loved, admired, and respected. And with the energy that he brings to the practice, it just makes me excited as well about helping people.
Evelyn, let's talk about Paraquat, okay? It's a herbicide, but why are you representing people who have been exposed to Paraquat?
I, along with my law partner, Mark, law offices of Addison-Darden, are representing persons who have been injured from the exposure to Paraquat. As you said, it's herbicide, and what some people don't realize is that even those who did not come in close contact, but say perhaps just were handlers of it being used. But more importantly, those who were spraying it, those who were dealing with the crop that it was sprayed onto, all of these persons are susceptible to injuries that have developed over years from their exposure. And primarily it's Parkinson's disease. And others have neurological tremors or other symptoms that have affected the neural system. And what the research has shown is that this stems back to exposure to that particular herbicide. And we want to get it out to the public that we're representing clients, we're educating them, informing them so that we can help them and their families to get the compensation that they deserve.
What are some of the signs and the symptoms of some of the illnesses associated, even like Parkinson's, by exposure to Paraquat?
It usually starts with tremors in the hand, with the shaking and the trembling of the hand, unsteadiness, imbalance, stumbling, having difficulty pronouncing words or giving a full sentence, loss of memory, unable to have recall, lack of focus, lack of concentration. Those are some of the early signs. And then it becomes progressively worse And unfortunately, in most cases, it ultimately leads to a death that is earlier than what that lifespan would have been for the person.
I understand there have been some claims settled already against some of the manufacturers of this, correct?
That is correct, but it is still an ongoing matter. And that's why we are here, and we've been in the community spreading information that is valuable to the community, because a significant part of what Mark and I do is serious personal injuries, which we have been doing for, as he said, over 3 decades. But more and more we're moving into, or have been moving into, the mass tort area. And Paraquat is one of them, in addition to other products that have damaged or caused injuries to the population.
You know, it's interesting. Paraquat is banned in 30 countries in the European Union, but it recently was reviewed and reapproved, I think in 2020, in the United States. You know, it's kind of amazing that this dangerous chemical out there, that really a lot of information is not known about it, and the diseases like Parkinson's that it causes, and there's definite links, correct? You know, it's amazing that the United States government still allows it. I'm shocked.
It's a travesty that it is still being sold and widely used. And for us, it becomes significant because we're in a state where, outside of the major metropolitan area in the DMV, which is the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia, that there's a lot of farmland. So on the eastern shore of Maryland, southern Maryland, and western Maryland, there are large farms. And in order to deal with these crops, you have this chemical being sprayed. This herbicide is still in use.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, not only the European Union and 30 other countries, even China has banned it, but the United States hasn't. So, Mark, tell our audience a little bit about why a person who may have been exposed to Paraquat, why they need a lawyer to help them file a claim.
Well, Steve, they would need a lawyer for a number of different reasons, but one, to gather the information, establish whether or not they meet the criteria, whether or not they have sufficient medical history and a nexus or a connection with the product and their illness to be able to present that for a claim, or to present it as a cause of action in court. You've mentioned a number of cases have been settled. So those are things that I won't say are murky water, but they are intensive as far as review of medical records, also making that causal connection between the exposure to the chemical and the person's illness. So all those things are what we do on a daily basis, whether that's a serious personal injury accident or something like this with a Paraquat or Camp Lejeune or other torts that happen, you know, where we have catastrophic injury.
Right. I don't know these cases that have been settled. I think there were California cases that were settled. Have they, the victims of this exposure, have they been compensated? How have they been compensated? Medical and disability only, or their lives have been greatly altered, shortened maybe? Have there's been compensation for that economic value? Do you know?
Well, with regard to some of those that have been settled, typically what is included in that settlement, in a good settlement, would be the cost of covering medical expenses, as well as lost wages if it impacted them at a point that they were still employed, pain and suffering, and also those who have died from it. You know, the marriage has been impacted if there was marriage, loss of consortium, and other aspects of that injury. So yes, some people have chosen to have their claims resolved early, but it is still an ongoing matter, and a number of them are and will be litigated in lawsuits.
What else do you want to let the public know about paraquat poisoning and the herbicide?
Well, what I would want them to know, and I think Mark too, is that we are about helping people by educating, informing, and giving them experience representation. And what we've done in this particular mass tort and in some of the others, we've combined our over 30 years of legal experience with a law firm as one of the leading mass tort law firms in the country. So when a person come to us and retain our services, in a sense, they're getting an army of attorneys, and they're getting years of experience to go forth. We've been doing major class action cases and mass torts for a number of years. So what we have done as a result of this combination is to be able to give our clients the small firm attention, but with the big firm results. And we're out to help the community and help those who have been injured, protecting families and their loved ones.
Obviously, it's paid off because you have a lot of satisfied clients who have gotten the kind of remedies that they deserve.
That's correct, and that makes us feel good. It makes us sleep well at night to know that we have satisfied clients. And what clients tell us is they like the fact that we get back to them quickly, that we listen to them, and we respect them, and we take their matters seriously. What I wanted from the very beginning when I started this law firm and Mark came in shortly thereafter is to let people know that we care about them. And when I say care, that means we treat our clients the way we want to be treated. No matter who I'm dealing with, I want to be treated with respect. I want to be listened to. I want people to recognize that I'm their customer, I'm their client, and that I want a quality service. And that's what happens in this office. When someone comes in, we treat them the way we want to be treated.
Yeah, and one of the things that we do, in quoting the Justice Thurgood Marshall, we do the best we can with what we have. And we've been blessed with great clients. We've been blessed with the relationship that we have, partnerships that we've built, and to go out and believe in the causes that we fight for our clients.
Right. Okay, and we are putting up on the screen again your telephone number. And would you mind giving that out?
855-Darden Law.
All right, very good. I want to thank you both for being on the show.
Our pleasure.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.